On the 26th of September 1944, as Operation Market Garden was drawing to a close, the British troops of the 6th Battalion, the Green Howards of the 50th Northumbrian Division, received orders to clear the Dutch town of Overrun to the northeast of the city of Nijmegen. Moving off at around 1600 that afternoon, the battalion, led by A and B companies, advanced against scattered German resistance, and by 2100 was established to the northeast of Bemmel. The next morning, on the 27th, the battalion resumed this advance, but in the face of increasing enemy opposition, it failed to make any significant progress, and by day's end, the Green Howards were still in the vicinity of Bemmel. Accordingly, the battalion dug in for the night with the intention of continuing on to Overrun on the 28th of September. This plan, however, was changed that morning when intelligence reports came through indicating a large build-up of German forces opposite the battalion, with a history of the 50th Northumbrian Division recording that. On the 28th of September, the division was warned that the enemy was preparing for a counterattack on a relatively big scale, and so our operations against Overrun were abandoned for the time being, and the infantry were regrouped to meet the threat. To meet the rumoured German counterattack, the bulk of the 6th Battalion, the Green Howards, was pulled out of the Bemmel area in the evening of the 28th of September and withdrawn into a reserve position at Ressen. At the same time, their place on the front line was taken over by the 5th Battalion, the East Yorkshire Regiment, and the 7th Battalion, the Green Howards, the latter of which was reinforced with D Company from the 6th Battalion, which had been ordered to remain behind and take up a defensive position astride the main road running north from Bemmel. Here the company remained until 2200 on the 30th, when it was relieved by B Company. However, no sooner had the troops of B settled into their new positions, did the expected German counterattack come in at 0550 on the morning of the 1st of October 1944. Facing the brunt of this offensive was the 7th Green Howards, which was subjected to an intense mortar and artillery bombardment before being swarmed by enemy infantry reinforced with 12 tanks. Despite their best efforts to hold their ground, the forward troops of the 7th Battalion were eventually overwhelmed and forced to retire to new positions. This had the effect of leaving the rear area of B Company of the 6th Green Howards dangerously exposed, and it was at some time after 0700 that a group of German infantry close to within 50 metres of the company headquarters. Although this group was driven off, the Germans soon returned in larger numbers, and this time supported by 2 Panther tanks. Recognising the immediate threat to B Company's headquarters, Private John Adams, who had only joined B Company as a replacement a few days earlier, quickly located a Piat and, on his own initiative, left the safety of his position to deal with the 2 enemy tanks. For his selfless actions that day, Private Adams would be awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal, the citation for which details: Private Adams seized the platoon Piat, crawled along a ditch, calmly placed the bomb in the gun and fired. This caused the leading Panther tank to run into a ditch, from which its crew kept up a heavy fire, as did the second tank in support. With a complete contempt to danger, Private Adams moved about the tank and hit it 3 times more. The crew bailed out and abandoned it. The second tank came up firing high explosive and machine gun rounds, but Adams again changed position, firing a further bomb which hit the second tank, which quickly halted, turned, and rapidly made off. Through the actions of Private John Adams, the German attack against B Company's headquarters was broken up, and the enemy were forced to withdraw from the area. The company then shored up its left flank, which it valiantly held against successive enemy attacks for the next several hours. Then, just after 1500, the company's right flank came under heavy pressure as the Germans attacked from the direction of Waal. Once again though, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, B Company held its line and repelled every attempt by the enemy to break through into Bemmel. It did so until 2300 when, at long last, reinforcements arrived from the 5th East Yorkshire Regiment, who had been ordered to move up and take over the sector held by the Green Howards. Under the cover of British artillery fire, this relief was successfully carried out, and by 0300 on the 2nd of October 1944, B Company had been withdrawn to the area of Ressen, where it rejoined the 6th Battalion, the Green Howards. In the meantime, with the arrival of the East Yorkshires, the enemy counterattack against Bemmel petered out, and by mid-morning on the 2nd, the German forces had gone over to the defensive. Surprisingly, despite enduring 16 hours of unrelenting enemy attacks, B Company of the 6th Green Howards sustained only one man killed in action over the course of the enemy offensive. His name was Corporal John Dykes, and he is listed as missing in action on the Groesbeek Memorial in the Netherlands. Undoubtedly, had it not been for the actions of Private John Adams, B Company's casualties would have been significantly higher, as not only was he responsible for knocking out a Panther tank and forcing a second to withdraw, but he also single-handedly prevented the company headquarters from being overrun. For this, Private Adams was recognised with the Distinguished Conduct Medal on the 1st of March 1945. Reflecting on the Battle of Bemmel, the history of the 50th Northumbrian Division concludes that the last word of praise should go after all to the infantrymen of the Green Howards, who endured in their positions from 0550 to 2300 hours, the worst that the enemy could do to them. Infantry and tank attacks succeeded one another, and all the time the enemy artillery, which was present in considerable strength, maintained a high rate of fire. Through it all, the Green Howards hung on, and they had their reward when the day was saved by the arrival of the East Yorkshire Regiment. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe so that you never miss one of my future videos.